Well, good afternoon to everybody. This is our final review. Hopefully you got through a good bunch of the practice tests. So you know by now, today is pretty much, I'd like to go the way you would like me to go. So I'll be looking for any questions or direction. I do have, I think, just about every problem worked out, so if you want to go through any of them, we can. Yes. 9, okay. Oh, by the way, maybe you can remind me. I just put this slide up because I want to remember, I want to reserve a little time to talk about this today, okay? Number 9. Construct a truth table for P or Q, if P or Q, then not P. Standard PQ setup. I put a not P in there. Did my if part first, P or Q. Only false when both are false. So that's the only one that's false. Yep. Then I copied my not P column, and then I applied in the center here the rules for if then. Only false when the first is true and the second is false. That one's false, that one's false, but the rest are true. So final FFTT. Makes sense? That's that what?
One again.
If then, it's also called a conditional. The rule, you mean?
Yeah.
Only false when
First one's true.
true, false. Only false when the first one's true and the second one's false. Yeah. You bet. Did anybody have any more to say about number 9, as long as it's up there? 7? Okay, yeah, I think this was a multiple choice question, wasn't it? It said in the table below, which of the truth tables under A, B, C, D, and E matches the following statement? So it's like a matching. So which one fits not P? Well, you always have to compare to this one. And this is the one that has the opposite entries. So that's the first answer. So for that one, it's C. And then, actually I wrote right on top of that, if P then Q is which one? Well, that would be the one that's false, only in this row. Keep going. P and Q. Okay, only true when both are true. So that would be the one that only has a true in the top row. Yep, there it is. You get process. Next one, P or Q. Only false, so both are false. So the only row that should be false is the bottom one. That's that one. And then P if and only if Q, true when they're alike. So it should be a T in this one and a T down here. T, yep, there she is. So it's like, it was a sneaky way of asking you 5 problems in one. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the rule for the double line?
Oh, you mean, yeah. I don't even know if I can put my fingers that way. Yeah, the equal sign with the thing on each end is, first of all, what does that mean? Equivalent? It's really not a rule. It simply says the only time you can legally put that symbol up is when 2 different things have exactly the same truth table. So, but it's not an operation. Yeah. I'll maybe have to get some volunteers to do hand signals properly. Yeah. We're gonna, you know what? People walk by the door, they're gonna go, look, we have aliens in there. Yes.
Number 12.
12? Okay. All right, is the following statement true or false? The 2 plus 2 equals 5 is obviously false, and 2 times 3 equals 6 is obviously true. So the question is then, if you have if false, then true, which is what I was kind of sloppily wrote there, how does that come out? True, because the only time it's false is when the first one's true and the second one's false. So it's ironic, but even when you start with a garbage statement like that in an if-then, it's guaranteed to be true. You know, that's like saying, if pigs fly, then today is March 12th. It's a stupid statement, but it's true, because we didn't begin with a true premise, and we didn't have a false conclusion. So. Okay. Kind of worthless, but it's true. Yes.
Can I do 16?
Yes, you bet. Maybe we're going to have to do that one. That's cool. Okay. I'll go back to my master here. 16. Well, I guess I kind of have it done right here. So let's look at it here. All right. Let B stand for you get a bank loan. And let C stand for you have a good credit record. Symbolize the following statements. For you to get a bank loan, it is necessary that you have good credit. Ah, yes. What does the word necessary mean? In an if-then statement, this guy over here is sufficient for that one, and this guy over here is necessary for that one. So when they say that it's necessary to have good credit, the credit has to be on the receiving end of the arrow. So the necessary part, I guess you could say, has to receive the arrow, and the sufficient part has to send the arrow. So that's why, sorry I have two there, but for part A, the answer is if B, then C.
That's why I get confused. I was confused with part B, just because that
Okay.
it's sufficient.
Yeah. Let's do, okay, on part B, you having a good credit record is sufficient. The sufficient guy is the sender. So I'm sorry it's confusing. My answer for part B is off to the left. So C is sufficient, C is the sender. That's how you could think of it. And then let me just finish part C. A necessary and sufficient condition for you to get a bank loan is that you have a good bank record. Well, if it's both necessary and sufficient, then it means it's on both ends of an arrow. And so you got the double-headed arrow. And by the way, it wouldn't matter. That's the one problem. It wouldn't matter which way you put the B and which way you put the C. Absolutely makes no difference. Yeah.
Are you going to have questions like those with the wording like that?
I would say this is a pretty decent test. Mine will look. I don't know. Now you guys tell me. I'm the wrong guy to ask. I mean, I didn't mean that. Well, here's what I meant by that. I don't know if I'm not neutral enough to answer your question. Now, maybe you guys know better than I do. I claimed that my first test was going to be very similar to the one in the book. I believe it was, but you guys are the final judge, you know? Honestly, I try to mimic them pretty closely, but I'm not going to copy the problems. So, will I use language like this? Yeah, I think you need to know the word sufficient. You need to know the word necessary. I think those are fair questions. So, yeah, mine will, now, there is a problem. This is a little bit too long for my test. So if there's one thing that's slightly different, my tests have to be a tad shorter. But the style of questions, yeah, I don't think you're going to see a huge difference. Maybe the one thing I'll say that might be slightly different on my test in this chapter is I might have a little more emphasis on a negation. And so we should talk about that today. Do you really get how to negate things? And there's two big principles there. knowing your truth table rules, and do you get, gosh, I just lost, I had it in there and I lost it. Oh, yeah, De Morgan. That you understand De Morgan's laws and that you know your truth table. So, for example, if I ask you, what's the negation of if P then Q? Well, the negation of what's the only time one of these is false? True, false. So what's the negation of if P then Q? P, you could say if P then not Q, or you could say P and not Q. So here, what's the negation of if I get out of work by 5 o'clock, then I'll go buy bread. The negation is I get out of work by 5 o'clock and I did not buy bread. So
for the negation, the second part, is if I know it changes.
in an if then. Yeah, exactly. In an if then. But now, what about the negation of one of these? Well, if you think De Morgan, you got it. So let me make one up again. I came to class today, and I am reviewing the material with you. What would be the negation of it?
You came to class today and you're not reviewing the information with us?
Not quite. One little thing you slipped on there. You're close. I didn't come to class, or I did not help you with review. Because what's the negation of an and? You remember in De Morgan, when you do a negation of one of these, don't you have to always, yeah. And I can guarantee you that kind of thing will be on the test. Does everybody get that? If you really get De Morgan's law, then you know that the negation of this, the negation of P and Q is not P or not Q. Yeah. What's the negation of an or? P or Q, not P and not Q. I guarantee you that's going to be on the test, and it's going to come at you in several times. I shouldn't tell you maybe that many hints, but you need to take pictures.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
But do you guys get that negation thing? Because that is a big item. It's more than one item. And it seems like every year that's a problem. So, what's next? 17. See if I have an individual one there. I think I do. Yeah. Good one to ask about. Does everybody remember what an implication is? Let's see. An implication, first of all, deals with which type of logical statement? That's the first thing I'm going to ask you. You know, think of it. You got here are your choices: A, B, C, D. Which one of those does an implication have anything to do with? Yeah, I think I would see this one, right? How now? Who remembers the rest of it? What about this? If you're looking at an if-then statement of any kind and the answer comes out to all truths, then you've got an implication. So if P then Q, if that comes out to a tautology, that tells me P implies Q. And how do we write it? Like this. With a double-headed, not a double-headed, with an equal sign with an arrow. So this says B implies C. Now, in this particular example, why did I say B implies? Let's do this problem. Okay. Well, here's your table. How in the world can I find out if there's any implications? Answer, I got to find out all of the possible if-then combinations. Whoa. Okay, well, what are all the things I could do? I could do if A then B, if A then C, if B then C, if C then B, if C then, you know, I got all these combinations. So you notice I have all these titles. I got to check them all out. And as soon as I reach a false, I might as well quit. Why? I'm not going to get a tautology if I got one false, right? So this looks lazy, but it makes sense. Why go any further? So that can't be. Oh, nuts. Failed right at the end. Cha-ching. There's one. So B implies C. All right. Got another one. B implies A. Whoa, we got another one. C implies A. And failure. And I think, yeah, I ran out of space, but C to B is another one. That one failed, but these three work. So my answer is, what are the implications here? Yeah, I mean, I didn't have it up there, right? Yeah, I ran out of space. So, if I give you a problem like this on the test, you know what I'm likely to do? I'll give you some kind of a master table like this, and then I'll give you a grid only to help you organize your answers, okay? In other words, you're going to see a bunch of grids on there, so you can put your truth tables down and not have to worry about lining them up horizontally. But don't feel obligated to fill everything up. I just kind of like a workspace, okay? You follow? And here, I probably would have a big old grid so that you've got enough room to try all of them. And I don't know why, but sometimes when I do that, I see people put nothing in the grid. I think that means I can't remember what an implication is. So, I don't know. But then you really have to try it out to see, step by step. So, anybody have a follow-up on number 17? Another question. Yes. 3. Okay, well, let's just do it right here. Well, I guess I'm going to copy it because we really need to any particular one of those you want me to do? A, okay. Okay, here we go. I don't have the directions, but I guess I do. It says, let G be, he is a gentleman. Let S stand for, he is a scholar. Write the following in words. Yeah, now that first one is kind of, how do we do that with parentheses? You know, there's actually two answers here. One would be, and this is the one I dislike the most, it is not the case that he is a gentleman and a scholar. To me, that's kind of like a cop-out. You know, that's like saying, he's a gentleman and a scholar. Not. All right, well, let's be more, that's soap opera talk. Tell me what he is, you know? So what I would say is, he is not a gentleman, or he is not a scholar. Now, where did I get that from? Morgan, does that sound familiar? See how that keeps cropping up too? Yeah. Let's do the second one right away. Actually, isn't the second one easier? What? He is not a gentleman, and he is a scholar. That one, I mean, there's nothing, you don't really have to think much there. But do you see what I don't like about the first one? It is not the case that he is a gentleman and a scholar. That's like saying, all right, that's cool. You can read the problem. Can you translate it for me? Oh, yeah. Not G, or not S. Question, or just...
So A, you put that for Morgan, then it's or, but then B is and, right?
Right now it's and when you negate it, You have to negate both letters, and you have to reverse this, so this has to be changed to, yeah, so with De Morgan, you always gotta do that sign reversal thing. Now, this would be a good day for pictures, because we're doing all these strange hand signals. I'll for sure look like an alien, yes.
So like for A, if we wrote down that first answer, that'd be wrong. Like you just say-
I think I'd have to take a minor deduction or something. I think I might say a half or something like that. Yeah, good question. Does that make sense to you? It's not that you're wrong, it's just that you could have given me a fuller answer. Yeah. Here's another, as long as we're on negations, let me raise this one. What's the negation of, let's do an all and a sum. If I said, some people in this room, I don't know, live off campus. What would be the negation of that? Some people in this room live off campus. Negation? Yeah, because in math, some means at least one, right? Can you tell me what that's for?
Yeah.
What was that for?
Kind of like an experiment.
Good enough.
I don't know.
I'll leave it at that. Wow, that's wide open. But anyway, so did I answer that one? I think I did. I lost my way now. Oh yeah, I was doing the negation of a sum, and you're right, it's a none. What's the negation of an all? So if I said, all of you in here are ready for the test. What's the negation of that? Okay, I would accept that. I even like a little better if somebody said, well, think of it this way. What would it take for that to be a lie? All it takes is one, right? So what you could say is at least one person in this room is not ready for the test. Yes, that's pretty much what you said, but I just like it a hair better, but I would give you full praise. So we've had a little bit of negation practice now. Is that everybody on board with that? Mm-hmm. You bet. I think that'd be a great activity. So let me just get a page here. Okay, all the symbols. Well, why don't you guys help me? What are some of the symbols we've had? First one we learned was that one. Ah, what am I doing? Yeah, I guess I like Indians. Weird. Okay. Don't forget about this one. Okay, and remember, that one's not in the book. That one is only true when they're different. Meaning, if you have a true and a false, that's a true, and if you have a false and a true, that's a true, but if you have, in other words, just the opposite of this one. Only true when they're alike. This one, only true when they're different. Oh, that would have been a good one. Like I'm taking a picture back at him. Yep.
So how do you, if you have it in a, if there's a sentence and you have to use it, the symbol, the right symbol, how do you know which one to use?
Well, what's different about this one? Exclusive or says, here's the easiest way. I like your question because here's the difference. This one says it's okay if you have this one or if you have this one, and it's also okay if you have both. But this one says it's okay if you have this one, it's okay if you have this one, but it's not okay if you have both. So, I don't know. I was trying to think, what's a good thing in life? I guess either he made the field goal or he did not make the field goal. would be a good one for this one, because you can't make a field goal and at the same time not make it. So something that where you can't have both would be a perfect time for that guy. Yeah. And I wanted to caution you especially on that one, because that one was not in the book. Don't forget. So there were no questions on the practice test about that. So that's a little different. Oh, let's see. We, of course, have good old if-then. We have the biconditional. We talked a little while ago about this guy, implies. We have this symbol for equivalent. Yes?
Can you do this one? What is this one?
This one right here?
Yeah.
If and only if is what it's called, or it's also called a biconditional. And the rule is it's only true when both things are alike. So TT will give you a true, FF will give you a true. But TF or FT will give you a false. So what the words I used, I think what I taught it was true only when they're alike. Yes?
What's the difference between no and choose asking with 2 bars on the bottom?
Okay, this is like an operation which has a rule, true only when they're... This is just kind of like the equal sign of logic. It's only used when 2 different truth tables come out the same. So even though they look a lot alike, this one is kind of an operation, and this one is just kind of a conclusion thing. Let's see, we haven't done them all yet. Then there's this, the negation sign. What else have we missed? Occasionally, you will see in one place in this chapter, instead of using negation sign, remember we used that? And that was when you guys were supposed to draw those circuit board, those circuits. I let you use the apostrophe for not. Can anybody think of, I'm trying to think of some other symbols. I think that's it. Oh, thank you. Good. Well, we didn't. I didn't really test you a lot on that. If you see that anywhere, it means, hey, what comes after that? That's the conclusion. Yeah, it's like therefore. Thank you. Can anybody think of any other symbols? I think we've covered them pretty well now. So we got off, we're not doing the problems, we haven't done problems for a while, so if you want, we can get back on that. But this was good. These are all good things to bring up. Was there anything else in the test that you thought, you maybe looked at the question and then went, man, I don't remember us doing that, or I can't remember how to do that, or something like that? Because that would be good to bring up. Yes?
It's not on the practice test, but on page 165.
Okay. Gotcha. Oh yeah, the old chain reaction problems. Could we just do 24, or is that, have we done that one already?
Well, any of them.
I was trying to think of something we haven't done. Maybe we should do like, let's do 24. Okay, this is number 24, and it's on page, and you're right, I don't think there was anything on the practice test about this. Page 165. Okay, we're given the following things. If P, then Q. Then we have if S, then not R. If T, then R. If Q, then U. And not U or T. I should fix this one if-then symbol here. Wow. Well, first of all, they don't change. And that's the whole basis of this. So we're going to have to do something. In fact, isn't this one should kind of smack you right between the eyes because it doesn't even have an arrow in it. Do you remember the hint? If not, make sure you put it on your list for studying. What's the hint for changing this into an if-then? It's if U, then T. So I'm going to do that off to the side here. That one you want to file away. Okay, is there anything over here that would chain from this or to this? Yeah, if T then R. So I'm going to just bring this one, I'm going to make a new list over on the right here. So let's put if T then R. Do you see how the T's chain now? Okay, so we've got these two kind of taken care of now. How about if Q then U? Can that fit over here somewhere? Yeah, it could go right up here. Good. Look at that, all chains. So that one's taken care of. How about if P then Q now? Cool. Oh, we got everything chaining except, what are we going to do with that one? Couldn't I use the contrapositive of that? And the contrapositive of this is, you guys remember contrapositives? If R, then not S. And does it, look at, oh my goodness, it fits perfectly on the end. We have a wonderful little chain reaction here. And the bottom line is, if you start with a P, you will end with a not S, and like was pointed out, that would be your conclusion. You could put a little therefore there. So there's one of those problems. So it's got multiple skills, that you understand this chain reaction thing, and that you know how to write contrapositives. And you probably should keep this, you need to keep this in filed away up here, that you can rewrite. That was a hint in one, but it's important enough, you really need to know it. Yeah, that was a good problem to bring up. Yes, yeah. 25 on the same page? Okay. And that was again page 165. This time, what do we have? If P then Q. If Q then R. If not S, then not R. Okay. 25. Okay. 25. Construct a switching network to represent this statement. If P then Q, ANDed with, if not P then not Q. Okay, now, right off the bat, problem. I never taught you how to do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I taught you how to do this logically, but I didn't teach you how to draw a circuit. I only taught you these two for circuit drawing. So, here's a memory device again. I've got it in the red square. What do? This is backwards of what we just did. If I have if P then Q, can't I change it into one of these? Yeah. If not the first one, not the first one, or the second. And likewise over here, not the first one, or with the second. Okay, now I can draw them. This is an OR, which is a stack. So I got to put a not P stacked with a Q. This is also an OR, so that's another little stack. And because these two are ANDed, the two stacks have to be side by side. Put a beginning and an ending on it. you got your logical circuits. So, I know, there's a lot of stuff to remember. This is worth remembering too. So so might I ask you to draw a diagram that has one of these in it? Yeah, it's a possibility. Maybe I'll take an easier approach and just give you, these guys to do. But, or maybe I'll put one of these in an extra credit. You guys are asking good questions. You've done a good job of spreading it out, kind of covering a lot of the topics. That's what I was hoping for. Others you'd like to do? Well, let me just make this comment. Sometimes, some of you maybe were a little disappointed with your notebook grade last time. Let me just say this. If I downgraded you for something, I probably wrote you a note somewhere on that sheet. And if I did that, all I'm saying to you is, would you please read it before handing in your notebook again? So for example, let me just give you an example. Let's say maybe somebody handed in a notebook with no table of contents before. Well, I'm for sure would have written on there, no table of contents. Well, what would really be kind of like kicking yourself in the rear end is if you handed in your notebook again and didn't have a table of contents again. Why would you want to get whacked twice for the same thing? So just take a few seconds, read your evaluation sheet, and if there was something missing or something not quite right, you sure don't want to make that mistake again, right? You want to, this is just common sense. You want to get your grade as high as possible. Is anybody still wondering about what the deal is with extra credit? Remember, it's 3 problems per assignment, where some people still don't quite get this, where you not only do the problem step by step, but you do a verbal description. Doesn't have to be complete sentences, but you got to tell me. Some people, all they do is do the problem and they think they get extra credit. The idea that is to do it and then kind of teach it as if you were helping somebody who did not know how. And I'm not going to correct the English, but it is important to me that you don't want to be so general and go, well, I just did it like the one in the book. Obviously, that wouldn't be telling me anything. But that you actually try to describe it in your own words. So, just a reminder, get your pages numbered. Make sure you update your table. Oh, here's another one. Where should your table of contents be for this chapter? In the same place it was before. It's still in the front of your notebook, but it will grow a bit because now you have 2 chapters. So the idea is just continue your table of contents, make it longer. So just think about this. In fact, some people put the table of contents for chapter 2 in front of for chapter 3 in front of chapter 3. But then I got to go look for the table of contents. It kind of defeats the purpose of the table of contents, doesn't it? Yeah, the table of contents still should be in the front of the book. So, and that's why I made you guys get a 3-ring binder, so if you needed to put another page in there, you just insert another sheet and make it a little longer. Table of contents grows throughout the semester. Do you have a question?
Why don't you just basically hand it in the book again? You want to just make it just for that chapter?
I'd really like the whole thing in there. Yeah, thanks for asking that. Don't just give me chapter 3, okay? The whole idea was you're supposed to be collecting kind of the whole course anyway. I really wanted it to all be there. And then if you're really doing what I had in mind, you're gonna have your tests from the last chapter in there at the end of your, it's like a portfolio of the whole course. When you get all done, you take it out of there and you drop it in a file folder. You don't have to. And you could use your notebook for another class.
Once they have our extra credit, this is our table of contents, can we have just like one page that's just the extra credit?
Oh, sure.
It doesn't have to be on the same lesson.
No, that's correct. There's different ways to do extra credit. Some people like to put it all in one place at the end. This is fine. Some people like to do it right where it occurs in the assignments. That's okay. But either way, just repeat what she said. Make sure you tell me in your table of contents where your extra credit is, okay? I'm not going to go searching through your notes for extra credit. So you tell me, oh yeah, I've got extra credit on page 7, 12, 18, 24, whatever. And then I'll go look at it, give you an extra credit grade. Yep.
Not going to feature this in the upper right-hand corner, but we
Upper outside corner.
upper outside.
Well, yeah, it's not hugely important, but I guess away from the rings is what I had in mind. So upper outside, yeah, it can't always be upper right, can it? If you do it on front and back, one of them's got to be upper left. Yeah, just think of it as upper outside, away from the rings. Let's see, what was the other thing? Remember, you're supposed to highlight your terms somehow. I let it up to you how you're going to highlight them, but sometimes people forget that. It's okay if they're underlined, whatever you came up with. Okay, well, stick around if you'd like, but you're free to go. I'll see you with a test. Come with your notebooks for Friday.